Hey, hold on real quick. Hold on. Pause.
So jumping in today, we were talking a little bit about, sports and just kind of this world that we've been in. A topic that we've brought up on the podcast numerous times, which still an evergreen topic. We can talk about this in another 50 episodes and it'll still be as relevant. Sadly, I wish it wouldn't be, which, the point for us bringing it up is to try to influence change and have people think a little bit beyond the current events, think about the big picture, right? So today, the big topic is going to be tribalism. With sports upon us, got NBA playoffs getting into the thick of things. We've got football back. We've got baseball playoffs going to be starting up here soon. So, a lot of going on with sports. On top of sports, you've also got a very tenuous political landscape. If you look at kind of I'm going to butcher the explanation of this, but I saw a graph that showed how far apart right and left really are, and going back, Bush days and, even the Obama era, it was still pretty close. There wasn't a whole lot of a delta between the two areas. Now we're as spread apart as we've ever been. It always comes back to tribalism, right? We've talked about blindly standing for my side versus your side and, doing things that are divisive, trying to create, a me versus you mentality instead of okay, I'm over here, you're there, and I respect your beliefs and your thoughts and your fanship, your fandom. But now it's, because of social media, because of this world that we're in, we really just don't have a lot to bitch about. So I think we find every little thing to complain about. And starting with sports, I mean, that's been going on everywhere. I find myself, without sports since we're March through August with no sports. And I'm somebody I've always watched, been passionate about. My team loses, it ruins my day, week, month. If my team loses in the playoffs, I'm feeling like shit until the next season's playoffs, and you find this hate building for teams that are succeeding. Look, I'm a self-pronounced hater in a lot of cases, right? Like I'm anti-Chiefs, anti-Mahomes, because that's not my tribe. My tribe is Brady. Wherever Brady goes, he's my tribe leader, right?
Yeah, shout out to the
anybody that succeeds outside of that, I'm kind of like, you know what, fuck that guy, right? But it's ridiculous. You scroll on Twitter, Instagram. Skip Bayless is a funny one, right? I'm on Twitter during the games, just kind of seeing what people are saying. And I think a lot of that has to do on the sports side, at least, us getting away from journalism and really just speculation. If you look at Skip, it's just, oh, great, the Cowboys won today. And, this and that and this and that. Just open with the allegiances. Hey, here's my tribe. You just read through the comments and it's just awful, ugly, just back and forth, just people bashing each other.
Yeah, hardcore.
And that's kind of where now, what is the big call to action? Why are we having this conversation? I guess with this, it's make your tribe more inclusive, right? But I don't know. I know I went on a long soliloquy here, long monologue, but, I wanted to tee it up. But I don't know. Where are you at with all this, Joc?
Yeah, man. So with tribalism, I don't know. My definition of it may be a little bit different, so to speak. And that's probably why when we were talking in the group chat, it was like some kind of, not a debate, but just like communication issues. Yeah. And so I was bringing up the whole sex, like physical attraction. That ties into tribalism as well. As far as and I'm talking about guys here. Because I know we had, we did a question on our IG where hey, do we feel that men are care about the physical attraction more or does women, And so ironically, it was 50-50, it's my surprise, damn, okay. But I thought men personally, because we do, at least from my own opinion, care about the physical feats more, such ass, titties, whatever. That's the first thing we look at when we're holding the door open for somebody or whatever the case may be. You're gonna try to peep to see what our body looks like, and then vice versa. Some women do the same thing. They see shoulders or whatever they're attracted to, And so so the tribalism thing. So basically, I was reading this article that said sexual selection and tribalism goes hand in hand, and it actually intensifies tribalism. you know. And so that's what I was trying to actually like explain. And then when I read the article, it's like it didn't say anything about physical attraction, you know, per se. Just talking about like other like facets of things. But I thought physical attraction because we're not gonna like want to hook up with somebody if we're not somewhat physically attracted to them. I mean, it's off rip, you know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna like fuck or talk to anything that's like this with legs, you know? And so like that's what I was trying to say in the actual like conversation that we were having, you know what I mean? And so that to me, I don't know, tribalism is like, in a sense, like you said, like we all stand for something and like fuck everything else. I feel like most of us do stand for like dating or talking to somebody that's attractive. Like that in itself is tribalism too, you know? So yeah.
Well, and it's an interesting point that you make about, you know, tribal pressure too, right? Because me, you know, people clown on me for having a couple of different allegiances in sports.
Yeah.
You know, what I would chalk it up to is right when I got into football, there was no Houston team. So I gravitated towards my favorite player, Jerry Rice, became a 49ers fan, you know, right when I started liking him.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, well, I got to have some rooting interest in the playoffs so I care. Brady always beat the teams I hated. So, all right, I love Brady, right? Then the Texans come along. Okay, now I like the Texans because it's the home team. They're not my favorite, but, you know, I support them. I want them to win. Now Brady goes to the Bucks. Now I'm like, well, kind of pulling for the Bucks. My favorite team's still the Niners. But the reason I bring all that up is peer pressure. You know, if you think about people within your tribe, oh, well, you know, I can't claim that I'm a 49ers fan because people will then point at, oh, what about your love for, you know, Brady and Belichick and Houston? Like, what's up with that, right?
Yeah.
The reason I bring it there is tribalism. One of the bigger things there is a lot of peer pressure, or really just pressure from within your tribe to follow a certain set of morals, set of actions, set of preferences. You know, bringing it back to a race thing, when you look at interracial relationships, a lot of the times those can't happen, and I'm saying that in quotes because they always can happen, but you know, because of pressure from within your tribe, so to
In
say,
your family, right?
can't
Yeah.
get outside it, right? So that's where I guess the whole topic kind of comes full circle: sports, relationships, politics, all of it. But the big thing within tribalism, what makes it so strange, is that we're all so influenced by what other people say from within our tribe.
Right. And I agree that definitely. And that's, you know, you brought up a good point as far as like we need to be more inclusive, be more open-minded, and know that, hey, it's more than like one tribe or one way of thinking. You know what I mean? Just like it's a big world we live in. You know, like yeah, we're gonna have different biases on different things, but if it's like affecting you in a way where you're being negative or being really extremely mean about interrelational dating, sports team, like whatever, to the point where it's like, hey, it's kind of fucked up. Because we know when we're saying fucked up stuff, you know, we're doing something that's not right. You need to like kind of dial it back a little bit and say, hey, like let me rethink how like I'm approaching the situation. I know it's not going to be overnight, but just like you said, think deeper. You know, that's the whole point of this podcast, for us to make you guys like think a little bit deeper when you're doing different things, you know. And tribalism, like I said, that's something that's tied into everything, whether you agree with it or not. That's what we were founded on, you know, like human, like us, you know. So
Right.
Definitely, man.
Well, and some of the concerns with tribalism, again, it brings a lot of hate. It can bring a very me against you, as opposed to, you know, pro me. Hey, you're there, I respect you, but I'm still pro me. I mean, I think that's fine. I don't want to take away from saying you should have pride in who you are. You should back your tribe, you know, and even if you're just looking at your family as a tribe, family comes first. But that doesn't always mean family's right every time, you know. And when you find yourself with this constant just, hey, it's me versus you, it's my tribe, you know, you kind of turn on blinders to other perspectives, kind of like you mentioned with bias. A lot of the time people seek out that you know, they seek people to kind of confirm what they're saying. They're seeking that confirmation bias, saying, hey, I'm right, let me go find this answer. See, look, other people in my tribe say I'm right, you know, they're saying the same things. It helps to understand the other perspective of things. You know, when you think about creativity, how people use, you know, drugs or alcohol or coffee or even cigarettes, nicotine, to kind of stir up creativity. The reason why is it makes you step out of your conventional way of thinking. You don't have that conventional wisdom. You start to think in a very different way. You know, humans were very logic driven. When you drink, kind of cut some of the logic off and look at things from another perspective. You know, tribalism kind of locks you in to say, hey, this is the one way that you can think. You can't think any differently from this. And that's when you have a lot of, you know, button of the heads, because it's constantly my opinion matters more than yours. You're wrong. I'm right. You know, and instead of us looking for that middle ground, that nuance, that gray area, it's constantly black and white, you know. And again, I say it extends to sports. You know, fuck your team, man. Yeah. You know,
Speaking of that, bro.
Politics, you know, there's so many people on the right that refuse to even listen to what the left's saying, and vice versa. You know, it's almost like on the left, if you hear of somebody that's voting for Trump, they've got a scarlet letter. They're just automatically out. You know, I mean, we bring this guy up a lot, but Kanye, you know, he might be kind of loopy, might be crazy, but he was right. You know, I saw him on a Letterman. This was way back, but he was on, you know, the Letterman show on Netflix, kind of giving piece on why he voted Trump and why he supports Trump. At the end of the day, he said, look, it's my opinion. Like, just move on. You know, like, that's how I feel.
Like, why do people care so much?
Sway you from how you feel.
Right. Facts. I agree. And it's like, why do people care so much? But the crazy part about why people care so much is because celebrities are actually looked at as more of an important figure than a president or people that's in politics. You know, people actually listen to them first before they listen to politicians. Just like when Kylie Jenner, they had to reach out to her to help people wear masks for COVID. Remember that? When she tweeted like, and hey, y'all guys wear masks, and people start wearing masks more because of that. You know, so it's just crazy, man. Then the whole, you know, back to what you were saying about like the whole fuck you and all that. Eagles fans, you know, you're wearing the jersey right now, but Eagles fans are some of the most hardcore fans, man. Like, I haven't been to Eagles game myself per se, but I know a lot of people that actually like are Eagles fans and they've been to games, and shit gets wild. If you're like in the division, like, you know, if you're Cowboys fans or like Redskins, like, oh man, you go to a game and you're by yourself, you may get like, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna say like a fight's gonna happen, like for sure, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like something bad's gonna come from that situation. And it goes back to the point of us being so tribal to the point to where we feel like we gotta be like, I don't know, like endanger somebody or just get physical. And to me, it's like, I understand having the camaraderie and like the, you know, like prideness of your team or whatever it may be. But when it gets to the point to where you feel like you have to be physical, you know, that's when I'm like, all right, you know, that's why I say everybody should be more open-minded and think on a broader scale. You don't want to hurt people, like, you know, in all seriousness, you know what I mean?
Right. It's funny you mentioned that because I do know that, like, you know, Bay Area Raiders, Niners fans, I mean, people straight up getting hemmed up at the game for rooting for somebody else, you know?
Right.
It's ridiculous. Like, at the end of the day, here's the funniest part about sports. I'm passionate about sports. I love sports. I get pissed off my team loses. I get pissed off when the team –
Yeah, we all do. Yeah.
We all do, you know? But at the end of the day, it's just people playing a game, you know? You're either – if it's football – you have this weird shaped ball. You got to just move it from here into this weird little zone.
Right.
You know? People are flying, you know, 20 miles an hour, bumping into each other full speed, blowing each other's heads off. You know, basketball, we're watching people take a ball and put it into a hole.
Oh, yep.
It's so stupid when you deduce it down to that. But I want to stop on something that you mentioned with masks, right? You know, and I've had this conversation with people plenty. I've done a lot of flip-flop, and we've had a lot of arguments, full-on arguments within, you know, our crew.
Yeah, that's right.
About COVID, about masks and all this. But, you know, if you were to tell me a year ago, hey, Mike, there's going to be a global pandemic. That's all I'll tell you. What are you going to do, Mike? Well, I would think about it for a minute, and then the most logical thing that would come to mind right away is, well, we should probably all wear masks. You know, we should probably all kind of keep our space from each other. Those are just logical answers, right? Those are just cause and effect. People get sick when they're in close proximity to each other. They cough, they sneeze. We've always heard about cover your cough, cover your sneeze, wash your hands. Now it's like people have to be reminded, even though we should have been doing this all along. But the tribalism thing comes down to, okay, that's a logical scientific response. Whether you think COVID is that big of a deal or not, it's, hey, wear a mask, keep your space. But then all of a sudden that becomes political, just like global warming. All of a sudden it's, okay, this side thinks this side thinks that. So instead of thinking about the facts, thinking about it logically, thinking about it with just conventional wisdom, you know, it's, oh, well, my side says this, so, you know, nah, I can't take that because you're on that side. You know, it's such a unilateral way of thinking. And you see, like, the case numbers, again, like, Texas is not, you know, doing great. And I'm talking about this after the Texans stadium in Houston is empty. Dallas Cowboys Stadium, Dallas, you know, 4 hours north, loaded with people, you know? And I mean, it's just, I don't know. The tribalism thing, it comes back to just think outside of your own, right? Think about the other side, think about the other perspective. Don't blindly follow one cause just because you're looking for confirmation bias.
Yeah, just think for yourself, and I agree, and that's what we got to get back to, thinking for ourselves. If 2020 hasn't taught you guys anything, please think for yourself, like going forward, you know, until like the next years, next months that's coming, because, you know, we're not out of the woods yet. 2020 is still here. You know what I mean? I know percentages are going down with these cases, but still just be smart about stuff, and I'll just leave that at that, you know, because I don't want to get on the COVID thing, because we talked about that enough, you know. But yeah, tribalism, man, it's crazy, you know. You just, I don't know, you know, it's just something that we're born into, really. You know, think about it, like, we're born, like, if you're born a certain color, you're already kind of born into like a certain tribe. People are going to already like see you a certain way just because of your skin color, you know? Right. So it goes deep, man.
It does, man. That groupthink is a scary thing, you know? I mean, I think I might have even mentioned this last episode. Think about when you're in a class and they go, all right, any questions? And you're kind of surveying the group and you're like, all right, well, the tribe seems fine. I don't want to break things up and say, actually, I didn't get that. Can you explain that? I have some questions.
Yeah.
Everybody seems all right. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm good. I got it. You know, but one person says, actually, I have a question. Then all of a sudden you see.
And yeah, because like the confidence boost comes up a little bit more. And the funny thing about that too, man. So speaking of the tribalism thing, you know, because that's what we're talking about. It's because, you know, you have a certain, I guess, tribe that you're in, or whatever the case may be. You have to, the other people in that tribe feels like you have to act a certain way, or you're not really a part of our tribe. You know, I'm gonna bring myself, for example, you know, right now. I've been told so many times in my life, bro, like, you don't act like a normal black person or regular black person. Like, that's not how you're supposed to act. It's not how you're supposed to dress. Your clothes are too tight, too colorful. You talk too proper. Who do you think you are? You know, and it goes back to that tribalism, like, oh, this is something different that I'm not used to. But once again, just because it's something different that you're not used to doesn't mean you gotta like bash it. But, you know, once again, as human nature, we talk about and fear something that's unknown to us, you know? And so, but that goes back to tribalism. Once again, like, if you're not like us, you're against us, you know? And then that brings you to my point of the all-inclusive, like, hey, we still can be a part of the same tribe, but not think the same. That makes sense, you know? That doesn't make us any more different just because we think differently. That makes sense, you know?
100%. And I mean, I guess kind of tying it back full circle, be proud of who you are, be proud of your tribe, but don't let people tell you, hey, you're in this tribe, this is the way you have to be.
Exactly, yeah.
Think outside of the tribe, think of yourself, you know. And people always want to, you know, look down or try to push away the devil's advocate because it's somebody saying, hey, your conventional way of thinking might be flawed. Have you considered this other perspective? And so many people just want the easy route, like, but my way or the highway, you know, like, I don't care what the other side is. A lot of the time you think about the other side, you don't necessarily have to agree with that other side, but at least understanding where people are coming from, you get more context, you understand the intent, you know. And if you are one of those that looks at it and says, oh, well, they're thinking based off of groupthink, then you kind of have that rational filter to pick up when, you know, you're able to identify that a little bit more. So, you know, I guess if we're making a call to action here, it's think outside of the tribe, think about your own, think for yourself, I guess is the simplest way to say it, right, Joc?
Think for yourself and like treat people how you want to be treated. I know it's very cliche, but please don't be rude or just say stuff that you wouldn't want said to you, you know, because most of the time when we're doing that, we don't realize it until after the fact, or it's too late. You know, that person doesn't want to really be bothered with you anymore, you know. And so brings up a good point too. we often say stuff, you know, when we're upset or like, and like not the right mind frame. And sometimes we can't react right away. Even though I feel like, you know, most of us think that, hey, we have to say something or respond. Nah, give it a couple days, or give it when you can think clearly. You know, don't think, go back to the whole tribalism thing. Like, oh, fuck you. Like, nah, just take time to really think about what you're trying, the message you're trying to convey to whoever, you know. Well,
Very important. Yeah, I mean, I think the world we're in now demands an answer right away. You know, hey, we need to know your stance immediately. No, you don't. Give me some time. Let me breathe. Like, let me sleep on it. There's a reason they say sleep on it. You know, your brain goes in and packages new information and puts it into different channels and different parts of your brain so that you can actually think about it in a logical and sometimes you know, emotional or non-logical way. You just see things from multiple perspectives. Sleep on it, you know. That's a really good point.
Yeah, because when chicks, you know, I'm not gonna say chicks, when women see me with another race woman, they automatically get mad just off top. Not even like knowing me or like knowing her, they get upset, you know. And it's like, why are you so mad? I get it, trust me, because I have plenty of talks. You know, I'm a black man. I'm very prideful. But some people feel like, okay, for you to be pro something, and I'm, you know, mention me for example right now, I'm very pro black, that I have to be with a black woman, or I'm not pro black. You know, I don't agree with that. I understand where they're coming from, but I don't agree with it. You know what I mean? Which is fine, but it's like goes back to the whole, you know, like you said, think for yourself. Don't group think just because everybody else feels that way. Like, how do you truly feel? You know, and then like if you actually meet the person, you know what I'm saying, you may find it like, whoa, she's really dope. Black, white, yellow, like whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, try to actually get to know the person first, you know, before just because like the color. So